Hey guys, I finally got my grubby hands on a Synergy 516. It's kind of a much awaited model for me. I do like a 500 size, and until now we were kind of limited on 500 size helis and quality size helis. And I think this is an awesome idea for Synergy. This is going to be a good idea for people that are been flying micros or 450 sizes that are wanting to come up and build something that's not already, you know, offered, that they can actually build themselves, put their own electronics in and whatever. I've built quite a few Synergies here now, so I want to go ahead and do another video here like I did with the 766. This should be a fun build. It should be a quick build. This thing's a small little guy. It's got some pretty awesome little parts on it. I can't wait to get my hands on it and get it out to the field and fly it. So let's talk about first thing here. I've emptied everything out of the box. First thing you gotta do, sand your frames. Make sure you sand your frames, guys. Don't cut your wires or cut yourself. That's ridiculous. Get yourself some 1000 grit or so sandpaper. Scuff the ends so they're nice and smooth. Scuff all your carbon fiber parts. Wherever there's going to be wires, sand them. You'll thank me later if you do that. We're going to go by the manual here and build this. What I'm going to use in my build here is I'm going to give this Hobby Wing 100 amp ESC a shot. Of course, my Neo got a Scorpion 1350 kV. We're going to use MKS 9767 cyclics and MKS, what is this bad boy? Oops, it's backwards. 980 for the tail, a full-size tail. So you need a full-size tail, and they're basically a mid-size servo. They're not the smallest servo that you can get, not a 450 servo, it's actually a 500 size servo. So that's what we're going to use for electronics here. And what I'm going to do is basically most of this beginning part is assembling the frame, and that's very self-explanatory. Synergy did an awesome job on the manual, which they always do, and explaining step by step what you want to do. So I'm just going to basically get this mainframe built, and whenever I come across a part, because I haven't built one of these yet, that may be something that somebody might have a question on. If this is your first build as a 500 or you're new to Synergy, what I'll do is I'll stop my high-speed video and I'll go back to a normal video like this, and we'll talk about the ins and outs of a couple things, or give some pointers or something that I do, or something that, you know, may give you a different idea of something to do. So that's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to get going on this here right now. Isn't it cute? It's just a baby. Alright, just enough goofing off. Alright, so I got this frame built here, and everything is still loose. A couple things to note on this. These little screws that hold down this bearing, just snug them down. Loctite them, just snug them down, hand tighten. Don't over tighten these. Another thing that I do is I red Loctite down where my flybarless holder is. The reason is if your flybarless comes loose, you're hosed. And another thing is if one of these comes loose, you get weird vibrations in your flybarless unit, and you'll never be able to find them until you rip it all apart and find these screws loose. You'll chase everything else in the world. So I red Loctite these down, secure your flybarless unit. One thing that's super cool that Matt did was he integrated this motor mount actually into your middle bearing block, your center bearing block, which is an awesome idea. It's a first for, I guess, Synergy. I've never seen that before. I've never seen it on any other helis yet, so that's neat. Less parts count, that's awesome. When you put in your battery tray, it's the same as a 766 sliding battery tray. You're going to use super glue Don't over tighten these, just snug them down. I like this Gorilla Glue, this gel. It works fantastic. I've had good luck with it. Now, this is all still loose. What we have to do now is something that's very important, is we have to get our main shaft to slide up and down through here. See how it stops right now? That's not good. That means this isn't lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back behind me. I have a deep freezer. I'm going to lay this down flat so I have a 90 degree and I can get this right. So at the end, my main shaft will slide up and down properly. So that's what I'm going to go do now, and I'm going to tighten everything down. So I got this all buttoned up now, and you can see when you get it right, your main shaft should just fall by itself, no problem. There shouldn't be any hesitation in your main shaft, no drag. You know, see how smooth it is? So pretty much that's what you're looking for when it's all done. Alright, next up I'm going to build my skids, and I think we're going to, let's see what the manual says. The belt tensioner arm. So we'll probably talk about the belt tensioner arm. I'm going to go to full speed, get my skids and stuff done, and we'll talk about the belt tensioner. We're going to talk about your belt tensioner arm now. This is a pretty cool design. It actually grabs the belt from both sides. Normally you would see on other models it actually just lays on one side. This actually grabs the belt from both sides and holds pressure on it. This is an awesome design. We're going to have to take these all apart, and there's a bunch of shims in here. You're going to have to make sure you Loctite everything down. And make sure you don't get Loctite inside these bearings and all over these shims, because when you're done Loctiting it, you want it to be free just like it is right now. So if you get Loctite in there or whatever, you're gonna have to go and clean it off. So you want it to be nice and free, so you're not putting a lot of strain on things. So this is what we're going to be doing next, and I'm also going to jump into our main gear and our belt pulley here. So let's talk about that real quick. Now, these look like, to me, little 1.5s. What is this? 1.5. Yep. So we're going to have to pull all these 1.5s out, Loctite them, both sides. Alright. You have nylon shims. This is the way Synergies are. This is the same as every other Synergy. There we go. So your nylon shims, what you're going to do is you're going to use Bodo Lube on these. So wipe these all down with Bodo Lube before you put these back in. Alright. You're going to, our one way here is actually pre-pressed in. These you also have to take out and Loctite, don't forget that. What we're going to do is we're going to clean this here with some alcohol. We're going to clean this with alcohol. We're going to clean this with alcohol. And actually what I normally do is I usually scuff this with that 1000 grit sandpaper, just the same thing as I use to smooth this out, just so I have a good grip with my red Loctite. We're going to red Loctite both of these in. Don't skip over this step. This is important. You definitely want to do that. Alright, so we're going to do that in high speed. I'm just going over things as I can, as I see in the manual. So first things first is, let's get all this out of the way, is we're going to deal with this little awesome designed belt tensioner arm. So let's do that right now. I forgot to mention before I go any further, you want to use tri-flow on the inside of these one-way bearings. I actually use this little guy right here, put it on inside, I have yet to ever have a Synergy one-way bearing fail, no matter how hard I beat it. These are fantastic. You have to take care of them. Take care of them with Tri-Flow. They'll never slip. Don't put no heavy grease or anything like that in there like other helicopters like. These like Tri-Flow, so that's important. I forgot to mention that there. So we're going to get on with this now. I just wanted to catch that before I forgot. So now that we got our mainframe built here, and your tail belt set up, we got everything set up right, we're going to talk about building the tail parts. So today we're going to put the boom in. We are going to build our tail section. So let's talk about this, your pitch slider here first. You're going to want to take this apart and red Loctite this down inside. It's actually reverse, so make sure you take that apart. You're going to size these links with your Bodo sizer, and you're going to red Loctite your ball down. Alright. In your tail section, you're going to pull all this apart. Obviously, you're going to put some Bodo lube inside your thrust bearings. You're going to red Loctite these balls down too. And I also use red Loctite on these that hold down your tail grips, because you definitely don't want that to come apart. Your pushrod guide is a tiny 1.5, I believe. Once you get this snug down, you don't have to over tighten this. You're going to break this bolt if you do. So be careful with this part right here. It's fragile, and there's really no need to over tighten it. Now, onto your tail section, you're going to red Loctite this M3 bolt that holds your your pitch lever. The rest blue Loctite, except for your pulley. You have a set screw that holds your pulley on. You want to make sure you red Loctite this too. So today we are going to, let's see what else. We are going to install the boom and get the tail section done. And I think that's it for right now. So let's go to, we'll go to high speed and we'll get caught up on that, and then we'll see what the manual wants us to do next. Alright guys, so I got the tail set up here, and you really want to pay attention to the orientation, obviously, of your belt to make sure that your tail is spinning counterclockwise as you are spinning clockwise on your head. So you get yourself all buttoned up here, and you really want to make sure that your tail pitch slider is butter smooth. It shouldn't take any effort at all to move any of this stuff here. I mean, barely even touching it. If it's too tight, you either have some sort of binding going on in here, which on Synergies, this little bit of play here is totally normal. Okay. Another thing is sizing your links here is extremely important. If you don't do this, you're going to have some odd tail problems, maybe a slow wag or something like that you're not going to be able to figure out. It's a mechanical gain issue, so make sure that these are properly sized, and when they are, this should be butter smooth. Okay, so this tail box is awesome. We've seen this before in a Synergy as their older belt designs, and it works well, and I'm glad Matt brought this back for basically a crashability thing for this 500, so you're not blowing apart torque tubes and stuff like that. This is a cheaper way to crash, I guess you could say, for a 500. So let's see. Since we're talking about the tail here real quick, we're going to talk about your tail push rod here. And what you want to do is you want to scuff your ends really good. I use this little file that I got right here, and you want to clean them with alcohol so you have a good place for your epoxy to bite to. Alright, so you want to scuff them, clean them with alcohol, and these inside here you want to clean with alcohol extremely well. There's going to be oil in there. Just take a little rag and soak it down with alcohol and keep running it through there until it's clean. You want to use 24-hour epoxy. Don't use the shit junk 10-minute epoxy. I promise you it'll fail and you'll have no tail. And you'll be hosed. Here is my JB Weld, which is a 24-hour epoxy. I use this. I've never had a tail fail with 24-hour JB Weld epoxy. It's fantastic. Alright, so use that on your push guide. Alright, now we're going to talk about, actually I'm going to build the swash. So you have some 1.5s here that you have to take off. You want to just finger tighten these down. Red Loctite, leave them alone. Don't over tighten these, okay? Same with this stuff down here. Alright, you want to red Loctite all of your balls in your guide here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and build that stuff in high speed. We're going to set this apart for tomorrow. That way, you know, I'll set this aside for tomorrow. And then once it's cured, then we can put it on, put the ends on, stuff like that. But we're going to set that aside so it dries for 24 hours. So we have a nice safe tail. Alright, I got my swash built here. And my push rod guide is going to sit overnight. In the manual it says to start putting electronics in and running wires, but for the sake of the video, I'll get to that. I'm not going to video me running wires and all that. That's just dragging a video out. There's no sense in that. This is a build video here. So we're going to talk about your head here, because that's what we're going to do next. And it's an awesome little head. It's machined out. It's a beautiful design. You want to, on your arms here, red Loctite your balls, obviously, and you want to red Loctite these arms down. But you want to pay attention. There is 2 different sizes of your bolts that go into your grips here. So you want to make sure that you put them in the right spot. If not, you are going to crush your thrust bearings inside here. So you want to pay attention to that. And let's see. We're going to take this all apart, obviously. We are going to Loctite obviously your head bolts down. Sorry, your grip bolts down. And let's see. Your radius arms. You're going to take all this apart here. There's going to probably be a washer behind here, which I'd be surprised if there wasn't. Yep, it's a little washer in here. So you want to make sure there's a shim in here. It's a small little thing. Don't lose it. You're going to take out these links here, and you're going to Loctite this down. Alright, and you're also going to Loctite this down here. So that's what we're going to do now. And then I will probably, let's see what the manual says real quick. Yeah, have to build links, which I'm not going to video. I'm not going to video building links. That's lame. Nobody likes to build links. So we're going to take this all apart. We're going to use our Boto Lube on the thrust bearings. We're going to red Loctite everything. This is blue Loctite. This is blue Loctite. Red Loctite. And you don't ever Loctite anything with a lock nut on it. The Loctite will eat away at the nylon, and eventually you have to replace it, or it's going to let loose on you and you'll be hosed. Alright, so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to start ripping this head apart. couple more things here to note on building this head. When you get your spindle out, you want to clean your spindle bolts with alcohol, and you want to clean the inside of your spindle with alcohol. It's extremely important. That way your Loctite has a chance. They're really covered in oil. That way you get a nice solid head. When you're done, everything should spin free. There should be no notching at all. All right, if you have your shims and washers, bearings inside, right. So there should be no play anywhere, and these should have no notch. All right, so when I'm done with this, I actually take my Bodo lube and I go in after I've already, got it all together, and I've already done the thrust bearings with Bodo lube. I go in afterwards and go in these ports and I load them up with more lube. So that way everything is nice and smooth, and you want to do your maintenance on these occasionally. You want to make sure that stays nice and lubed up. So I'm going to go ahead and build some links now and put this awesome little head back on the heli. So I've came a long way since my last video here. I put my electronics in and got my wiring done. Obviously built my links and put my links on. I wasn't going to film all that because that's obviously very, very time consuming for me anyway to put wiring in and get my wires the way I want them. But project's wrapped up now. I'm actually got some batteries charged to go test fly this. There's a couple things that you want to look at after. Well, first of all, this Scorpion 1350, if that's what you're going to use, there's no notch in for the pinion, so you're going to have to take your Dremel and Dremel out a notch. So before you go ahead and put your motor in, make sure you hit that with your Dremel. Alright, your battery slide has a quick release. You want to red Loctite these. You have a pin here that works, right? And you want to red Loctite these in too, because if that comes out, you're going to shoot your battery out. So make sure that doesn't leave. Keep that together. It's always good practice when you're done building something, especially a new kit here, is to go back through and just spend 5 minutes checking every single bolt that you did, just real quick, just to make sure you didn't miss anything before your first test flight, right? And another thing is, obviously, check your tail direction. You want to check your sensor direction in your tail to make sure that that's correct. With your flybarless unit, make sure obviously your tail is going the right way with your belt. You can actually, what I do is I actually shine a flashlight up this way and look down the tail belt, and that way you can know if it's twisted in any way that it's not supposed to be. It gives you a really quick look at your tail belt to make sure you're not rubbing on anything or twisting. So I got this baby all together, and this project's wrapped up. It's ready to go test fly. So that's it for me here, guys. From now on, you'll see flying videos of it. And thanks for watching.